Okay, if we're done with the fashion show, can we get on with the pod? We ready?
Fine. Yeah, let's go.
All right. Welcome back to Two Homers and a Realist. Our voices are cracking. The Sooners win over Arkansas State 73-0. We have a special guest with us. I'm Steve.
Lucas.
Connor.
Jay.
And Greg's sitting in here, going to chime in with some deep insights or maybe just be an audience member. Ava's also in the audience. This is a post-game pod.
It's our first post-game pod.
It's the first of the 2023 season. Boys, we are off to a great start. And tell you what else helps with the great start? Tobacco Exchange, our big sponsor for the post-game pods this season. They have 3 wonderfully convenient locations, great selection, best pricing in the metro, I'll swear by that, and a very knowledgeable staff. We are smoking some Jake Wyatt's, as provided by Tobacco Exchange.
It's good smoke.
Very good smoke, very smooth. They kind of fine-tailored each one of these to us and our specifications, what we were looking for. So I really appreciate that. Tobacco Exchange, sponsor of the pod. Well, let's get to it, guys. OU covered 2 times over today. Spread was like 35, 36 was maybe 36 and a half. Well, I don't care. 73 to nothing. We destroyed Arkansas State and looked really good doing it. We're going to have a lot of positive accolades, maybe a few critical points. One thing that I'll say, if you'll think back to the pregame pod when we were talking about what we're going to look for and hope for in the game, they hit on most everything I was looking for, which was consistency, dominance at the line of scrimmage, able to get yardage in big chunks, especially in the passing game, and especially early on when the game really was critical and you have everybody putting a complete effort into it before it started to just be a runaway train. What are you guys' thoughts, though?
I think it's hard to complain about the performance today.
Wait.
Like you said.
Wait. Let's make sure. Lucas is the one talking here.
We're going to have to retitle the pod.
It's Arkansas State.
This is 3 super realists.
We were saying this after Nebraska.
I just want to make
last
sure
year,
I heard it correctly.
Like Steve said, a lot of the things we touched on the previous pod about things to look for, I think we saw improvement in most of those areas. I don't know that I was that impressed with the defensive line like I'd hoped to be as far as getting pressure. I think we only registered 1 sack today. We made him throw it a little bit quicker than he wanted to a few times on some hurries, but overall, and I think their style of offense is more throw it pretty quick anyway, so that makes it a little harder. But we held them in the rushing category to 48 yards. Can't ever complain about that, no matter who you're playing. And then the other thing, I didn't think our running game was where it should be, but it's obviously the beat and bow style offensive line where it gets better as we go along. We had 220 yards rushing, but our longest rush of the day was 16 yards, which is pretty low for what I feel like our running back capability is.
What was our total yardage again?
Total yardage for rushing or for
rushing?
220.
220. So that's pretty good.
That was on 49 carries, though, so we only averaged 4.5 yards rushing. And usually against these type of teams, we average 6 or 7 yards a rush. So
that's true, but we didn't have the breakaway run. And usually especially when you're running the ball a lot like we were able to do today, you get a few of those. You just keep going
30 or 40
back
yards.
to it. Eventually, you're going to bust one, and it's going to go, maybe 50 yards, and that distorts your averages. So the average is pretty good considering that they were just short bursts. Were never one giant one to pull the average up.
And being able to get a couple 3rd and 4s and 3rd and 2s. At one point in the middle of the third quarter, we were 9 of 11 or 10 of 11 or something like that on 3rd down conversions.
9.
I actually saved that stat earlier in my notes, but it was pretty impressive. We were 9 of 10 on 3rd down through 3 quarters. Last year against UTEP, we were 3 of 8 and 3 of 12 against Kent State. So even though Arkansas State's probably a lesser team than those 2 teams, it's still nice picking up 3rd downs.
Right.
And I'll agree. I think just to piggyback off a lot of that is same sort of light criticism towards the defensive line. Venables did come out and say, something that I don't have the wherewithal to see during the game is Arkansas State running a lot of 7-8 guy 8-man protection on their offense, apparently. So they were getting rid of the ball quick. It's not like, I don't think it was a complete lack of pressure. They were getting the ball out quick. The good thing I saw was our defensive backs and our linebackers closing on the ball as well. So I enjoyed seeing that. I think one thing that I said I was looking for in the pregame was Gabriel able to throw the ball over the middle. Overall accuracy looked great. I think we were extremely efficient on the day at the quarterback spot. We were Lucas, 30 for 33 or something along those lines.
Yep.
Yeah, on a passing.
On the passing total between Arnold and
Gabriel and Arnold.
Gabriel and Arnold.
Yeah, Arnold went 11 for 11.
Booty didn't record his pass because it was a penalty, I think. So
Right.
And Bevel didn't get a chance to pass before he crumpled.
Yeah. So yeah, thoughts out.
Poor
for,
kid,
Thoughts
yeah.
out for Davis Bevel, but
That sucks.
overall, I don't know. I mean, I think you saw Jay and I looked at each other through the first 5 minutes of the game and said you couldn't ask for a better start between
Deeply, too. We were really close. And
yeah,
really
we were right
staring
there.
at-
Very personal,
Yeah.
one-on-one. We got the great seats today that we got to watch the game from.
Did y'all move the end zone?
No, you're mistaken.
Oh.
So, but no, I think we couldn't have asked for anything better, I don't think, today.
Other than cooler temperatures.
Cooler temperatures, I would have loved to have hit that 80-point mark. I think that would have been pretty cool. We were talking during the game. I think it would have been some sort of record in a home opener had we scored.
Yeah, 79 against North Texas in 2013 was the prior record, I believe.
record. So, really impressed. I do think I think the run game today set up a lot of what we saw in the pass game.
And they were stuffing the box a lot.
They were in the box a lot. I mean, they were loading that box. So, I don't know. I don't have a lot of complaints. It's a great first pregame to have. It's very unlike the
Best we've looked in a while.
the
to start a
Tulane,
season.
the initial podcast that we did against Tulane, where I was trying to slice positives off of everything I could because it was hard to find something.
So Jay, echo or elaborate on that. Oh, looking really good in an opener. When's the last time you think we've looked this good in an opener?
I honestly can't even think back. It would have to be. I mean, Kyler did pretty good in his opener, but it wasn't just dominant.
But it wasn't dominant, like, yeah.
I don't. Do you remember Jalen's opener?
Houston Sunday night game, whiteout.
I don't know.
It was an okay game.
Yeah. It has been a while.
It has
But
been a while, yeah.
It's hard to complain about too much, like you guys said. I'll disagree with you a little bit, Steve. What I was looking for
I'll
was
edit this part out.
domination from both lines. And the D-line did its job, and they were in a lot of mass protection and getting the ball out quick. And you can't complain about keeping someone to that low a yardage rushing. And then offensively, I feel like we should have had much bigger holes, even though they were crowding the line of scrimmage. I still think a lesser team like that, loading the box, you should still be able to create enough seams for one of your guys to hit a couple. But it's
That's a good
nitpicking.
point. That's a good
You know,
point. That's a good point.
73-point game. It's hard to come down too hard on the team. What I liked most that maybe we haven't necessarily mentioned is I feel like we tackled really well. There was only one or two times where we got our hands on them that they kind of spun out of one. Or
Well, and the good thing is in those one or two times, I think we had guys around.
right,
when
yeah,
they
the
missed those
pursuit,
tackles, right?
the pursuit was good. I think the team hustled the whole time. They looked
in it.
I mean, you didn't see a drop off in effort from anybody.
Well, how many guys did we play today? 87.
87, which just seems
phenomenal.
incredible.
So how many of those guys, it's got to be a really high number, this was their first OU game because of all the new faces, or their first meaningful
Probably
snaps at least.
40 of them.
Yeah. How about that? That's pretty incredible. Well, sticking with some of the positives, I'll say that my feeling, I know there's a lot of first game excitement, but my feeling as we go down and score effortlessly, then hold them defensively, force the punt, and Jay, as you said, Freeman could take this to the house, and the feeling of the dominance and the exerting of our will, as he does indeed take it to the house, and we're up 14-0 like that. At that point in the game, it felt like we were just really doing everything we wanted. We were ready to play as if this was our third or fourth game of the season and Arkansas State's first. And then I'm going to contrast that with how we were last year, where we had a few quick starts that just totally fizzled out. We didn't have any fizzle today.
Yeah,
we
they
kept
fell
it
on their face
going,
last year.
and we were up 28-0 at the end of the first quarter. And I look down and I watch as they're rallying, as the teams on the sidelines, the different units coming in and out, and all of them look very engaged. And in fact, they played that way and continued to execute at a high level, albeit with some mistakes here and there, but also with a lot of new faces throughout the rest of that game.
Yeah, there were times last year to definitely put the nail in the coffin early, and we couldn't capitalize on it.
Well,
And let teams hang around.
Look at Florida State, how fast we got out front, right? I mean, we come out flying in that bowl game.
Yeah.
And it's even us here when we were watching the game is, all right, when is this going to catch up? Like when is the shoe going to drop and they're going to start coming back? You didn't get any sense of that today. Again, two remarkably different opponents, night and day different opponents.
But I mean, you look at Kent State last year, and we had an explosive. Was it the second quarter that was so explosive against them? And one of the other early games, we had an explosive first quarter
Well, look at
that
Oklahoma
then
State.
fizzled. Oklahoma State, very much an explosive start that then fizzles to the point of the game might have actually, gotten ended out. It just didn't materialize. So I thought that was a real positive to take away, the fact that we stayed strong the whole time, and even with a lot of backups in there. Let me ask you guys, who do you think is the number one running back? We saw 5 different guys carry the ball outside of the quarterbacks. All of them got a fairly representative number of carries. They all got a lot of chances at it.
Walker took the first handoff, so we all got that wrong.
Mm-hmm. Although I did mention, what about Walker? What about Walker on the last pod?
Well, we thought
You
it was
guys
major.
poo-pooed that silly idea.
Pretty surprising.
It
I
was
think
surprising.
the best running back didn't even play today. That's my
Sawchuk?
honest opinion. I think Sawchuk will reaffirm himself as the starting running back.
Yeah, I think that definitely could be the case. I think one of the reasons you might not have seen the high yardage breakaway run is you never got a chance for one running back to establish himself and get his feet underneath him and get really game comfortable. And so when you're giving a guy
That's
the
a good
ball for
point.
the first time, he's brand new, so he gets opening jitters, and then another series in, a new guy has opening jitters. So maybe that was part of the deal, and we have and it's a luxury to have.
Yeah, when you get
to
down
have guys running the ball like this is
when you
great.
get down to 2 that you're going to play the majority of the time, running backs is definitely a position that you need to get in the flow of the game.
Go with who's hot. Yeah, exactly.
And getting to game speed. I mean, it's the first game of the season, and you've been practicing this time, but game speed and practice speed are two different things. So only, touching the ball, twice in a series, and then you come out, another guy goes in, and then maybe 2 series later you get to carry the ball 2 or 3 times. It's disjointed to where, besides not just the flow, but the game speed part of it too.
Well, I think that's what I really like to see today is obviously every guy's getting their chance today. You didn't see us, which given we were playing at a very, very quick pace, which we can get to that later. But Levy was giving each running back series. He wasn't giving them a play here, a play there, vice versa. It was, this is your series, you're taking it, let's see what you got type of thing. So in terms of answering the question at hand, I guess you go into next week with the same probably 2 deep as you had this week. There wasn't one guy who came in and established himself today. I think they all ran with conviction. I think you saw Barnes with some heavy-handed runs where he's falling forward. But then again, you saw Tawee Walker do the same exact thing. So
what you might do is look at it as a week in practice where you, and DeMarco could really lean on this, where you say, hey, this starting position and majority of the snaps are up for grabs. Who wants it?
who wants it?
Who wants to show me that they've got what it takes to rise above this group? And
Such a good problem to have.
it is a great problem to have. And if we end up using a lot of running backs, even if we were to use a rotation that included 3 and maybe one guy's more of your closer, I think that's a pretty exciting position to be in. And one thing that's great is, you hate to see any player get injured, but you see a running back this year get injured, you're just not as upset about the team's prospects as you would be in other years. And that's a wonderful position to be in. Obviously, we'd love to see 2 guys rise up to the level of what the old days of a Mix and P. Ryan one of those connections would be. And
Well, even during that season, what was it, the 2016 season where we had to have Dimitri Flowers play running back the whole game?
Yes, against Iowa State.
Iowa
Yeah.
State.
yeah,
Because
Yep.
P. Ryan and Mixon were hurt, and we didn't have a third string running back that was better than an H-back.
So just to kind of put some numbers to it, Barnes had the most carries today. He had 13 carries. Tui comes in behind him at 8. Going running back wise, I'm sorry. Marcus Major comes in next at 9 carries. Tui Walker at 8. Smothers with 7, and Caleb Hicks at 3. So you want to put anything to that? I'm not sure. Barnes has the most carries. I'm not sure. We'd have to go back and look at the series themselves.
I think that was
how much
mainly
ones
just
he
the
had.
fourth quarter running clock.
Yeah.
Late
So-
third, fourth quarter running clock,
But
which they did a much better job of today, trying to salt the game away when they had such a big lead. Snap the ball with 5 seconds on the clock and not doing some stupid 15 or 20 second crap.
well, and that kind of goes back to what I was saying with pace. I mean, man, we looked so much more efficient with the time. I mean, it was given. I don't know how you kind of mark that to efficiency with the team you're playing, but looked like we knew what we wanted to do offensively. Looked like we knew exactly how we wanted to call plays in and run plays. So I don't know. I was really impressed with that. I think Lebby and Gabriel looked on the same page the entire time today.
So let's talk a little bit about what you were saying about pace, because I think that they did an excellent job of a little bit of complementary football, but it was just working. The quick pace was producing results. We weren't going 3 and out, and it gives you a glimpse of when it's working, how well it can work. At the same time, when they needed to run some clock, they were deliberate, and they clearly were able to wait to snap the ball. So that was a big improvement over what we've seen. Now you're in the luxury of a game you've completely dominated. So wait
When
until
it's 28-0 after the first quarter, you can do whatever you want.
You can do whatever you want, and you don't have to be. So you're not going to be concerned with other things when you're only up 28-24 and you're trying to run clock and possess the ball. Let's see if they can do it in that situation. Sure, I'm definitely understand that difference between the two, but.
I've got some game notes. Obviously, just random because I'm writing them down
Psycho.
during the game. I thought it was good to see the kickoffs go through the end zone.
Yes,
I can only think of
repeatedly.
one that they kicked short.
He had one return,
Yeah,
and he caught it at the goal line and just
Yeah,
chose
it was the corner of the goal line, so
They had 2
it was just his.
returns. Yeah, 1 out of each end zone,
Okay.
and both of them we covered well.
Yeah, that was good to see. And I know it's a lesser opponent, but the team looked more disciplined.
Yes.
The wrap-up tackling was 1,000 times better than the dive at him with your shoulder crap or just lunge at an ankle. It seemed way more form tackling across the board, even down to the third stringers. It was the whole game. The tackling looked way better than it did.
And how great is that to be able to say that? I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, Buki's not teaching him the tackling. though.
Yeah, we honestly haven't been able to say that in 5 or 6 years that we can
Yeah.
actually tackle correctly, which was nice.
I think you're very right, and I recognize that too. I'm going to come back to that in a second with one point of criticism for someone who didn't do that at one point, but that's it. Otherwise, overall, yes, absolutely.
And then also Gabriel's deep ball is way better, and he looked more comfortable behind the line. I don't know if that was just this line was better and playing a lesser team, or he feels better about his guys in the offense, or the deep threats. We had multiple. Nick Anderson can go deep.
Look
Jane
good
Gibson
doing
can
it.
catch a football.
Jaden Gibson can catch a football now.
A difficult to catch.
Acrobatic catches.
Had to fight for it.
The one that Arnold threw to him was literally just a jump ball
Yeah, just
because
go get it.
Yeah, but it's okay because he's
he
6'6".
looked at the mismatch and saw, oh, our guy's got 4 inches or 5 inches over the corner. I'm
And-
just going to throw it up and see if he can grab it.
And
he did.
And he did, and he actually could have gotten it clean, but he didn't because
Yeah.
he is Jaden Gibson.
yeah, he bobbled.
but he was dominating that entire positioning as well. The DB never was in a good spot. He was on his heels the whole time, barely turning around enough to not be a pass interference, and then obviously Gibson is in control enough to catch that ball.
Andrell Anthony down the field is going to be
Yeah,
a threat.
that
Yeah.
was my next one. I didn't really have any going into the game. You see, he had one big play at Michigan that we saw the highlight of over and over, he never really played the rest of the season for them. So transferring here, you kind of wonder, was he just not good enough to really contribute at Michigan, or did they just not play him right because they're more of a 3 yards in a cloud of dust type offense most of the time? And I was very impressed with him being able to get behind the corners at will. And Gabriel actually being able, the first really long catch they threw to him, the corner's pulling his jersey behind him, and he still makes a catch. And weirdly, no pass interference flag.
Yeah.
But thankfully, he made that catch. It's one of those, like, you wonder if he didn't catch it, would they have thrown the flag?
Come out
because
later.
you could clearly see him pulling the jersey. But it also saved a touchdown, because if he had tugged his jersey, it would have been perfectly in step, and he would have walked in the end zone with it.
There was another short post route that he did where the ball was thrown to his body, and if it had been 2 more feet in front of him, he'd have been off the races.
Yeah, I
and
remember.
taken that one too.
Yeah, so I'm going to switch and say that's a point of criticism. While he did throw the ball deep, maybe better than he has, and over the middle better than he has, Gabriel had several notable underthrows and missed throws. One was on he fades it. I think it was on one of those they had him jump, which they did a great job of drawing him off sides. But he draws him off sides, and he just lobs the ball up in a way that doesn't give his guy a chance to get the ball. Ended up being a pass interference. And then a couple others that were just pure misthrows down on deep balls. I felt like he waited too
He
long.
only had 3 incompletions, and one of them should have been a pass interference.
A couple of them were pass interferences
Yeah.
that they also were incompletions.
Right.
One of them is to
And those don't count on his stats.
who is number 5? Anderson?
Anderson.
Yeah, so Anderson's deep. He has this guy beat within the first 3 steps.
Yeah.
It's clear. And
Gabriel
Gabriel
waits.
sees it clearly. He's looking at it, and he waits so long to throw it that it's a stop route on a post route. And that ends up being the pass interference, but it would have been an incompletion had he not, potentially an interception. If he throws it right, that's a touchdown walking in. So that I thought there were several underthrows that were pretty disappointing.
That's my criticism.
But it was still better than anything we saw.
Yeah, it's
Other
improvement.
than the Nebraska game, I feel like he had some good deep balls.
It's improvement.
But it was definitely an improvement.
And they were, this might sound funny, but they were underthrows because he was late.
Yes.
Yeah.
His late throws,
Yeah.
his late waiting, and that was a
It's not
criticism
that the
last
ball's
year.
not where it's not supposed
not
to be.
throwing
it's
guys to
because-
get open,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
he's just it's the right throw. He's just waiting too long.
No, I'm really excited for Andrel Anthony. Like Lucas said, like we all saw the highlight from Michigan. We've heard all the stuff out of camp about him being a guy. I remember that first drive, Gabriel throws something over the middle to him, and it's like, okay, this guy can catch the ball over the middle, and then he goes on. I think his longest reception today was 45 yards. Him on one side, Farouk on the other, and then you have guys backing him up like you do with Anderson and Gibson, even Bunkley Shelton out there, which I don't know if he got targeted today, but that's the group that we've all been saying has all the question marks, and they answered somewhat of a call today. So I gotta hope Gabriel sees those open deep balls a little bit earlier. But again, Gabriel today, just from a timing perspective, from what we need him to do in the intermediate game and intermediate passing, I think he did really well.
Yeah, I think someone that we haven't mentioned yet somehow.
Petaway.
Who was going to be? Well, Petaway had a bunch of really
Oh.
good short catches. I mean, he looks
Yeah,
good
he
for
had
a
9.
freshman.
He led the team in receptions.
receptions,
9.
yeah.
More than double of anybody
Gavin
else.
Freeman.
Yeah.
Gavin Freeman is going to be an absolute problem for people in the slot. You cannot stop his quick slants. It all depends on the quarterback getting the ball.
And the
And Jay and I said
receiver
it-
blocking on the edge.
Yeah, and Jay and I said it right when on that little short out that he had
For
said
the touchdown.
For the touchdown,
Yeah.
Gavin's going to beat that guy 9 times out of 10,
Yeah.
and it's exactly what they ran. It's what they would run at Clemson with Hunter Renfrow. I mean,
Yep.
you run a little quick out, beat the corner, and score. That's all you got to do inside the 10-yard line. So you got to hope you see some of the use it until they can defend it, because I don't know how you defend that with Gavin on the edge.
So I thought it is pretty exciting to see some real threats across the receiving core in the slot and at wide out. We'll see as the season progresses how well that solidifies itself, but that was an area of concern coming in, and from what we see so far, that's a real positive.
Just
for
guys
sure.
guys answering the call, right?
Mhm.
Like
looking aggressive, looking like they want it.
We've got guys that we've had in the past where we've heard about these guys and we've heard about this stuff, and it's like, I don't really see it. We saw it today. And again, opener against Arkansas State. Today's the day you go show it, and they showed it.
They did. So one other thing that I will criticize a little bit, although I think he had a pretty good game, was Kanik. He had one of those times which was rare in this game, where we didn't do a good wrap-up tackle. He had I'll call it a throw tackle. He tries to sling the guy to the ground, and he fails, and the guy continues on his feet. Luckily, great pursuit, and someone else is there to finish the play after just 2 yards. It was out in the flat. So that was a little bit disappointing. Then maybe a time or two for sure he was out of position. One time he drops back into pass coverage in the right position, and he's right there. It's a perfect throw right over his head. I thought he actually was going to potentially intercept it, if not knock it down, but it was just out of his grasp. I don't know if he's just too slow to recognize or if it was just perfect offensive execution. And what are you going to do?
Yeah, it's one of those things, too, where he's faking at the line, faking blitz at the line, and then dropping back into coverage right when the ball snapped. I think we all saw it. It was one of those things where I thought his hands were there. Like I thought the interception was there to be had, and it was one of those where it's just those are the plays you want to see us bring down and not only convert on but force the turnover on. So yeah, I would agree with that as well.
So not a lot of criticism by me, even of him, and just not a lot to go around on the defense. So that was really good to see.
Would have liked to have seen a true interception today. We got the strip fumble that we got.
Yeah, definitely a forced fumble, and that was great. Not never in a position to jump around. Definitely some, and it was pure.
Except the one where we had two guys converging on the ball,
and they knocked each other away.
Right between them, and they catch the ball. So
I guess the other thing that you could criticize, but I believe it was a full second string in there, was a couple series, actually one series in particular, where the quarterback misses the receiver by 10 yards, underthrows it, then a guy drops a ball right in his hands.
Yeah, that was a bad series.
It was just bad. Now, so obviously some guys out of position, some things not working. But
that could have been the threes by that point.
It might have been, actually, at least a couple of them. And that works across the board. That does remind me, though, they did get the ball out of their hand pretty quick. The defensive line didn't have a lot of chances to get quarterback pressure, much less a sack. Ethan Downs got a sack.
He got the sack.
How about the sack? And
how about tackle for losses?
Yeah.
How about the fact that a starter last year is getting his sack in the fourth quarter this year because he's not playing? Is he on the third string or is he second string?
I think he rotates in with the ones and twos.
So it tells you a lot about the depth we have.
No,
he didn't.
No, the 3 of the 4 starting D-line were transfers.
Walla was the only one that started.
Yeah.
So that was pretty impressive to me in terms of look at how much deeper we are today. Look at how much more talent we've got on the field, because Ethan Downs is a good football player, and he
works hard.
Obviously lost some of his starting role, if not all of it. And good for him to stick around and be playing hard enough in the fourth quarter to get the sack.
I think he has a chance to pull the same move that Laolu pulled, where he spends this season bulking up because we lose interior D lineman.
And he steps back into that role.
Yep. Because he's not twitchy enough and fast enough. It's just a pure defensive end. But he looks like someone who loves the weight room. And
I think he likes the process too. He's bought in.
He'll do anything that the coaches tell him or need him to do. And I would guess he puts on 20, 25 pounds from now to the start of next season is moved inside.
Well, and he's one of 2 guys that we have that were on the first or second preseason All Big 12 teams that we have.
Yeah.
I had hopes for him being like an Austin English style where he could just kind of speed rush the outside, and he really just hasn't gotten to that point.
He's just not fast enough.
I did like, we talked about aggression on 3rd and longs instead of sitting back. And there was a play where we brought both safeties about 2 feet behind the defensive line.
Yeah.
On a 3rd and 10, we had everybody up, and they beat us right over the top of Billy Bowman. They snapped the ball. He backs up just out of his reach where he couldn't catch it. I think it was a slot receiver, just barely got past whoever was covering him. And I think it was about a 14-yard gain on a 3rd and 10. But I liked going for the aggression. But I hope it doesn't come back to bite us with the
Over
fact
the
that
top.
the coaching staff's like, well, look, this is what happens when we try to do this. We did give up a first down, so maybe we shouldn't do this as much during the season.
I don't think so. I look at it as what they want to do. I think the things you saw today were things they're working on, they want to do. And anytime you're seeing them do something like that, it's because that's what they want to do. Speaking of what they want to do and what you wanted to see, I noticed for a moment, and I asked the guys if they had noticed more than I had. Maybe you did, Lucas. How much 4-3 set were we in? It looked like we were in, I mean, for one, when I said it to them, I said, hey, we've been in the 4-3 and we're running 4-3.
Yeah.
Is that the new, that's one thing you wanted to see.
Well, if you call
When the results show
if you call
48,
the cheetah
48 yards rushing.
The 4.
Yeah.
you call a cheetah the 3,
The three,
the
the
third
third,
linebacker.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a Sam essentially on a lot of those.
Yeah.
Harrington playing up. McCullough didn't really get his shot because he kind of come out limp in the first quarter
He came through on that 3rd down.
after
though.
a tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Just seems like he maybe sprained his ankle or something. There wasn't any sense in forcing him to get back out there. But yeah,
We had a
amazing.
lot of guys
Amazing we
standing
have
up on
4
the
down
edge.
linemen that actually
Yeah.
can do what you want. Maybe not get, like we said early, we didn't get the pass pressure that we would have hoped, but we definitely got the run stopping all you could ever hope for
Yeah.
with 48 yards rushing.
Yeah, I thought that was a good sign, and maybe that's the look that they're going to want to go for
It looks
more
like
and more.
Pearson's going to be a really good run stopping
Took
safety.
the words out of my mouth. Pearson looks like he's going to be a dude.
He got a penalty
And then immediately made
and
up for
then
it.
immediately made a great tackle right after that.
Goes and makes a tackle in the backfield for a tackle for loss.
And we didn't have desperation penalties where they did quite a few face masks where they're just grasping in desperation. We weren't stupid. We weren't getting, we had one hit out of bounds, which was so marginal. It was right on the edge. So it'd be easy to say that could go either way, or it wasn't a clear mental breakdown.
Nobody looked lost.
Nobody looked lost. The defense didn't look over at the sidelines with their hands in the air going, what are we running? What are we doing?
And you don't know how many snaps those guys play together in practice because
Of all the
you had a
rotations.
couple 2s out there with some 3s. You had some 3s out there with some 4s.
Yeah.
It was a mixed bag the whole pretty much halfway through the third
Yeah, the
quarter
coaches
through the rest
tried
of the game.
to keep,
Some of the veteran dudes or some
a
of the
starter
starters in there.
that maybe
Yeah.
knows more paired up with a guy.
Peyton Bowen looked pretty good when
But
he got
yeah.
in.
Yeah, he didn't look.
Um,
I
out of
didn't
place
see
at all.
I didn't see anyone. I didn't see
Jacoby Johnson got on the field, which I
Yeah.
thought was
A lot.
crazy.
No, no.
I didn't
a
see
lot.
Wagner out there much.
No, he must
must
have been
be
hurt.
hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
He didn't get it
at
all.
It was not there
Yeah,
at all.
I didn't
from what
remember seeing
know.
him out there.
I didn't see Billy Bowman or any other veteran have to run up and push a guy into the right position and say no over here or no do this.
Yeah.
There wasn't any of that, and maybe that's a little bit you're running a very straightforward scheme, but I don't know. Regardless, they were definitely well coached.
My
for this
number
game.
one concern from the previous pod was Andrew Rain's snapping.
Uh-huh.
And from what I could tell, from my faraway seats and all, was that it did look improved. I didn't see a bunch of low and right snaps. Gabriel wasn't having to bend down to the wrong side and try to pull all this off. That looked way better than it did last year.
Yeah, definitely so. From our very
Close
good
seats,
vantage
yeah.
point,
It
we
looked
could
good.
notice how
Yeah.
it was.
We'll confirm it looked
real.
good.
Yeah.
Okay. And how I had one more. Oh, the interesting extra point at the beginning of was it the third quarter?
Yes.
The first touchdown.
Yes.
The bobbled snap
After
by the holder.
after they jump off sides, and we looked a little confused about if we had accepted the penalty or not, because the holder had moved up like a foot, a
Yeah.
third of a yard, and then it's like he didn't know what to do, and then it comes back and he
bobbles it.
He lays it on the ground. The kicker waits for him to put it back. Schmidt then
Takes one
nails
step.
it.
Good for
One
Schmidt.
step
one
nails
step
it.
and kicked it through.
Good for Schmidt.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Adjusting
You
there.
never know. Think about the Honeycutt missed extra point, and
Yeah.
a missed field goal, and you never know when that's going to matter. And you've done it once now to where your holder bobbles the snap, and you still are able to punch it through.
If you're a coach, you almost want to engineer a situation like that so you
Yeah.
can have them see us and say, all right, you
Yeah.
see? And that's what you do. That's how you get it right. So that was good, and just played with such confidence today. Talk about Jackson Arnold a little bit. Obviously, he's coming in scrap play that he's against. He's playing with a lot of second stringers, etc., including, I think, an entire second string offensive line.
I think he had the entire second string.
Yeah, so he didn't have any help of that. Now he's going against second string, but he looked exceptionally poised. He had some moxie. He ran the ball with confidence. He didn't look to slide. He looked to get the yardage, but he wasn't taking a hit that you want a guy to avoid. He seemed to know what the hell he was doing.
He was, I think the best word for me is calm.
Yeah.
He just looked...
Looking through progressions.
Just another day, and he's just stood in the pocket. He wasn't jittery. He didn't have happy feet.
No happy feet.
Just, where do I go with this? And I throw it.
I mean,
a lot of them were quick throws, but... And then when he did take off to run, he has very good vision.
Well, God, I mean, him and Petaway next year, like...
Yeah.
I mean...
That's going to be a lethal combination.
And happy birthday, by the way.
Yeah, happy birthday,
today.
Jackson Arnold.
But to Jay's point, the poise, and Steve, yours as well, the poise and the calmness to do something like he did, throwing that ball up to Jaden Gibson and just saying, hey, man, go get
recognizing the situation.
Not saying it was like an amazing or perfect throw by any means, but just understanding.
It's where his guy needed
looking
it,
the matchup, and and putting that ball where he let his receiver go make a play. Oh man.
Well, there was one other.
Exciting.
It was a little flat route, and he zipped it over there and put it right on the numbers where you want it. And I don't contrast this to be critical of Gabriel, but Gabriel ran the exact same play earlier in the game.
There's one of the three incompletions.
No, this was a complete. Oh no, it was
Gabriel. The Gabriel incompletion was where he zipped it in the flat and it went through Petaway's
well,
hands.
I'm thinking of two. Then one time he zipped it in the flat and it went through his hands, and the other time he had to reach out and get it, and he did get it. But both times it was not to the player. And Arnold's one attempt at that same play put it right on the spot you want it to be. It has to be for a, and he turned that into, he may have turned that into 15, 16 yards if I remember right.
Yep.
Petaway did. So that's the difference there.
It does. The ball does come off his hands different, too.
It comes off his hands just. Well, it comes off his right hand.
Other hand.
Yeah,
So that's true.
Yeah.
Maybe
it's the complete opposite.
Maybe
hand.
Gabriel should throw right-handed.
Right.
Is what you're saying. I don't know.
When I saw Jackson run that touchdown in the south end zone, when I saw it, it looked like what we thought Blake Bell would end up to be as quarterback.
Yeah.
Cause it was he
Sure
can
it's
run
not just
it,
the number, or?
and it might be the number, and because he's not as big as Blake thickness wise, but I just saw him run in the end zone, and I got back to Belldozer in my head.
He could Belldozer, though.
Yeah, I mean,
he absolutely could Belldozer.
100%.
And he could Belldozer in a way that's an even much bigger threat
Because
than
with
Blake
the
Bell
arm.
because he could with the
Yeah.
arm. And
Yeah.
you got to respect
And
that
not that
arm.
Blake Bell, I mean, when he was in high school, he was a very good quarterback.
Oh, he was like a record-setting
Yeah,
quarterback.
and then until, third year here when he swapped over to tight end, we expected him to be our starter at one point, and then it kind of didn't happen, but it kind of reminded me of that when he
absolutely
waltzed in the end zone there.
I think that's pretty exciting to think that you might have a lot of packages where if you're in a 2nd and 2, whether or not you're near the goal line, that you're going to put him in a position that linebacker core and those safeties have really got to think about where they want to be. Because with his vision, if what we saw today is going to be indicative, he can just pick you apart. He'll either decide, well, this is easy, I'm going to run for this, or this is easy, and he throws for something over the top that could be just, turn 2nd and 2 into a 40-yard touchdown. Another thing they did today, and I don't know if it was the play call, he was pausing, running clock, and looking over on the sideline quite a bit, but we really wanted him to get a throwing touchdown at one point. There was a couple late in the game in the fourth quarter, but he, be it him or Levy, somebody saw the situation with the defensive line and the linebackers, and it was clear, and they hand the ball off to Hicks, and he was getting 4, 5, 6 yards getting the first down, no trouble. Where it was I think it was a 3rd and 2, and I felt like this is clearly 4-down territory, and I'm hoping he throws the ball so that even if he doesn't get it, you go for it on 4th, but he did the right call, which he steps left and hands the ball off, and it was a 6-yard, no questions about it, gets the first down. So it's just good to see, again, that kind of poise in the position to get what you need to get and not get greedy, not get happy feet, not get into any type of situation where you look like what he is, a true freshman playing in his first college football game.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So let's comment just a little bit on the game day atmosphere. I thought it was really good. I thought it was big improvements outside, walking towards the stadium, inside as well. I thought I saw more and more as I got towards the stadium, tent set up, different things. I didn't venture over to the south side to see what Lindsay Street looked like. I'll be interested to hear others who did.
Heard it was unimpressive.
Unimpressive.
But,
But
I mean, they didn't give them that much space.
Oh, exactly. And people,
they're
or
just
that
not-
much time.
people are going to have to get used to it.
And they're going to have to get that culture back. They're going to have to decide
It's not
they
gonna
want
be
to
a
do
one-day
it.
thing.
They need to let them put tents on the north side of the street too, as
Yes.
opposed to just that small section between the sidewalk and the street on the south side. They need to let them put tents on the north side of Lindsay.
Well, and maybe
across
do
from the
too
and where the
be
stadium is.
too deep if they're not letting them. You got to get some depth to all of those things too,
Yeah,
so
there's
it's
really
an
not.
environment where people want to move around, because you've got quite a bit of space between you got sidewalk to street, but then you got sidewalk to Headington College and Dunham College. There's a lot of space there to be had if they'll let them do it. But it's going to take time. I could see people not being real enthused about 11 a.m. kickoff in the heat, whereas next week maybe at SMU where they've got all day to set up, it may be a different situation. But I thought overall the game atmosphere was good. I was hopeful that it would be a good experience in the stadium, because I've been hearing them practice with the Jumbotron at 10:30 at night and 6:30 in the morning today, so they damn sure better been good, because they were keeping me up and waking me up. But it was good. I felt like their execution of all of the and we could have and I do have my problems with how much they scream at us to during timeouts and different things going on, but everything was executed real well, timed really well. And tell us what you guys think. What do you think, Lucas, about that intro today?
Intro was one of the original Bob Stoops, we're going to turn this ball into this ball, is probably number one all time, because
That was awesome.
That was the beginning of like the video introduction being, kind of cinematic. But this one's up there when you had Bosworth saying, 211 degrees is one thing, and then 212 is the point of boiling. And then they show this is Adrian, and then this is AD. This is
Marquise Brown.
Marquise Brown. This is Hollywood. This is Roy, and this is Superman. And then he goes, and then you had Brian, and then he goes, and then the Boz.
The Boz,
And he puts
and
the glasses on. There's flames through the whole thing. It was legit.
Today's was pretty awesome.
It was.
It was fantastic.
It hit,
Yeah,
for sure.
They had the rhythm of it was great. The build up, the nostalgia, along with the focus on the team today. I thought they did a great job.
Switzer saying there's only one Oklahoma in the past. Those have been fantastic too.
Absolutely.
You get Selmans and all the kind of highlight reel stuff, but today's with the storyline of of that. And I've been critical of the 212 degree and the team 128, 129 crap. I don't like any of that, but they worked it in well today on that.
I thought they did too. I thought that one thing that stood out to me, having been a critic of so many things in the past and noticing when they would have a problem, they didn't have any problems today as far as I could tell in terms of every video they wanted to queued up on time. There were no lapses. The thing didn't go out of power at any time. We never lost audio. We had the scene setter immediately go into the starting lineups. Everything was just moving along just the way you want to see it in a well-executed approach. So really hats off to them for doing a great
Still
job.
got the announcer saying boomer after each first down.
I don't like it.
I don't love it. At least he was getting
Getting
quicker,
it all in.
as opposed to last time they're snapping the ball and he's yelling boomer. That was annoying in the
He
past.
needs to learn how to say PJ Adebawari a little bit better. Adebawari.
Yeah.
Very stuttered, but other
But
than
no,
that,
his timing was good. He wasn't interrupting the game flow of play. The band did a good job of not interrupting and playing over the flow of play. Just like one time did I notice it, and it was a time that it was kind of excusable. But with as quick as we run, it's important that they know when they can and should and shouldn't be adding music. But they did a really good job there.
How about the water situation today?
It was great. It was now.
great.
I mean,
Lines weren't bad either. But
Lines weren't
everyone
bad.
was
They had the
leaving,
water stations that we filled up with.
The water monster that they had set up and was below my section. Worked before the game, but then by halftime it was empty,
Yeah,
And they didn't refill it.
and they didn't refill it. I would have thought
that's
that
bad.
they would have. I would have thought they had that hooked up to something to
Yeah,
where it
like a
constantly
line.
refills.
Yeah, just a line.
It
Yeah,
was
Put-
not.
Yeah, hook it up with the toilets or something.
My son went down to go refill water bottles, and he's like, "Nope, that thing's empty. It's just the water stations where the refill bottles." And
that's
of
too
course,
bad.
those aren't cold
No.
at all. There's no water pressure, so you stand there for a minute trying to fill a 20-ounce bottle. I don't know what it's like other places, but to me, that's not good enough.
No, it's not good enough.
When you got
Not in this
100,
heat.
It's too hot.
100 degrees,
Not
you
in
got to
this
be
heat.
a little better in that aspect.
And
Even
we-
though at least they made an effort this time to do a little more.
We still criticize, and I think rightfully so, that they don't have people walking up and down the stands selling drinks. At least
Yeah.
that's confusing.
They
to
had
me.
them people walking around downstairs.
They did in the
Yeah, with
but
the shoulder things
but not
on,
up and down
but not
the
up
aisles.
and down the aisles. No.
So-
Still criticize the.
I don't know if that's just a post-COVID thing or what.
Still
But
criticize getting into the stadium.
Getting in the stadium was rough. It
yeah,
was
not enough lines.
not enough
Not enough
lines.
gates open.
It seemed to be a few more actually than in the past.
It
and
wasn't
we-
awful, but it
We
wasn't.
we saw them moving some new. I don't
Metal
understand
detectors?
why they were moving the metal detectors at that point. Like, why aren't you set up? Why would you need more? Do you need to call in more?
Right.
And we could even have a rant about, do we even need metal detectors? But it moved a little faster than it seems like it did in the past, but it could be better. So it's not perfect, but it was big improvements in a lot of those respects. And that's important. It's important to continue to improve as we get ready for a big move into the SEC and hopefully a big move into bigger environments in terms of what the crowd's going to demand and what the crowd's going to be. That crowd was pretty light to start the game. So I don't know if that's difficulty getting in or if that's just a lack of people getting real motivated at 11 a.m. when it's getting warm to get to the stadium and get into their seats that early. But we'll see next week a little bit when they've got more of the day to prepare for it. That is the fans. So if we, assuming it's going to be nearly a capacity crowd at kickoff in their seats, if they actually can allow that to happen by getting people into the stadium in a timely manner. Other thoughts, other things about today's experience?
Any changes, Lucas, or any upward movement in your prediction?
Nope.
Yeah, still 9-3.
Still 9-3.
I'm
Right.
still 11-1, but from what I saw, and I wanted to talk about this around the conference of the few games we've seen so far, I'm a solid 11-1. With Colorado beating TCU today, TCU definitely gets knocked down. I'm trying to think about what I think the toughest second game on OU schedule is. Texas is still probably clearly the toughest, even though they didn't look great against Rice.
I mean, maybe the BYU road trip just because of atmosphere.
And not
travel
knowing
time.
what's going on with
TCU
them.
might be a different team by the time we play them in
TCU might be a
November.
different team
Yeah.
by then. Kansas might be the number 2 on the
Their
road.
quarterback didn't play.
Yeah.
Jaden Daniels didn't play?
Nope, he didn't play. He had back issues yesterday, so he didn't take a snap.
And they
had
and they started
Bean.
slow, but they
Bean.
won.
Yeah, they started slow in the first half, and then they kind of blew them out in the second.
Yeah, so I just don't think most of the rest of the relatively easy schedule is going to be very difficult. I'm just going to take a second to peek in. At
UCF? I mean, UCF put up a lot of points
Yeah,
the other
UCF
night.
Yeah.
looked pretty good.
We
Yeah.
don't play them.
We do.
We do.
Yeah, we got 'em
We
at
at
home.
home. That's right.
And Gus Malzahn, even
They
though
put up a lot of
we
points,
curb
yeah.
stomped him when he was at Auburn, and he took that cheap shot BS touchdown there at the end of the game to try to make the score closer. I've always thought he's a pretty good offensive coach. So that if they've got the talent there, which that's the largest enrolled school in the country.
I think
but
they're third.
Are they really the largest? How big are they now?
I think they're the largest enrollment
No, I'm saying I
in the
think
country.
they're third in terms of on paper, like recruiting.
Oh, yeah.
Like how many
in the
Huh.
Big 12.
blue chippers you have or whatever.
Well,
Yeah,
they're
I
getting
think
some.
they're third.
I mean, they're getting some guys.
Well, they had a guy. I watched a little of their game. What was it? Thursday night, and they've got a speedster, and he was all up and down the field. He'll be the guy that you'll want to stop, but it's also the situation where is that their only
There's
player?
only so many.
And
And they used to have a guy named Dylan Gabriel.
yeah, they did.
They also have
So
no seal.
that might be that's at
One
home,
thing.
but that might be the next toughest. I'm trying to see Arkansas or Central Arkansas and Oklahoma State. They're 0-0 with a little under 6 minutes to play. So notably, all three state schools played or major programs from the state of Oklahoma played an Arkansas school today this weekend.
Congrats to Kevin Wilson on his first game.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Tulsa got a victory.
And against which Arkansas?
Put up a ton of points.
Which Arkansas school was that?
Pine Bluff?
Pine Bluff. Yeah, that's right.
But that's who she's playing.
No, they play Central Arkansas.
Oh, Central Arkansas.
So I don't think that was my roundabout way of saying I don't think Oklahoma State's going to be very good. I'm not worried about them. So we'll see. Second toughest game might be in the Big 12 championship after we're 12-0 and we're playing Texas for a second time. That would be my guess.
Might be it.
So we've got SMU next week, 5 o'clock kickoff, awkward quick kickoff time. We'll have a preview pod this week about it. We've got Tulsa on the road after that. That'll be a fun late night pod, post-game pod on that one. Anything else to mention before we sign off today, guys?
We're in
Big
full
victory.
swing. I'm pumped. I mean, I'm never going to shy away from 73 points.
This was a start we needed.
Yeah.
It was absolutely the start we need.
I'm pretty excited.
So,
Agreed.
season is here. Sooners are rolling 1-0 thanks to Tobacco Exchange. And until next time, Boomer.
Sooner.